Hello, pedal people. Hello, people that like the big pedal. And the pedal that costs you almost as much as an amp. But maybe that's a good thing. I mean, not that it costs you that much, but maybe that pedal is worth what you're supposed to pay. We shall find out. So, if you landed here, you might have seen videos by some great people. Pete, Jay Leonard, Jay, Simon. I have a couple of links in the description below so you can get a different feel for different people, how they treat the pedal, how the pedal treats them. And most certainly, so I don't have to do a fully produced track because I have a shit ton of stuff to cover with this pedal. Jay's track, Jay, you fucker, was just so amazing that I don't even dare to try to compete with that. Hey, dark glass. So... it's actually a dark mug. We're gonna get straight into it. Be prepared, get some coffee, get some cookies, because we'll be here for a minimum of an hour, if that is even enough. Origin Effects is known for, I mean, get that. They're very portable and very true replications of compressors that have moved the world, namely the 1176. And video of this coming up late September, I think. Those guys are nerds. Be prepared that this pedal is for the amp nerd, someone that knows what negative feedback is. This pedal is so freaking nerdy that they have a knob that does something that even pretty high-end amp designers that I'm friends with don't know about. Because I have an amp that accidentally does that too much, what that knob does, and they didn't know about it. It actually does it too much because I have a 50 hertz problem here. My electrician has to come because I have too much hum. That's why he has to come. But I still have too much hum, which is why I can show you what the knob does. So Leslie, throw the pedal on the screen. We have so much stuff to cover. The pedal comes with a, hold your horses, 23-page manual. And here's the thing, you have to read it. If you approach it as a word's an overdrive, because it says overdrive, then you're not getting it. If you approach it like, let's get some high gain sounds out of this, or it says overdrive, not high gain, you're not getting it. If you're approaching it as, where's my EQ? Well, there's high shelf and there's, oh, that's my EQ. Oh, you're not getting it. Generally, you're just not getting it. I sat here, I read the whole damn thing, and I am pretty much smarter now. So, if you want to learn about things, or you're nerdy enough to care what a phase inverter is and the push-pull power amp, I read this, I still don't quite know what that is. A variable negative feedback. The point is, they put an amp into this thing. There's no tubes, it's all solid, steady, kind of discrete, I don't know what all these words mean, components. But let me just read some things to you, which of course you could do if you bought the pedal, but I have the pedal, so I have the manual. By the way, this review is not being paid for, but the pedal has been supplied to me by the company. I have to make this disclaimer, otherwise people in suits come. Dual Class A preamp stages. Dual Class A sounds great. Phase inverter and push-pull amp stage provides realistic tonal response, symmetrical harmonies, subtle crossover distortion, and touch-sensitive drive characteristics. Variable negative feedback in the output stage. Let's see, boost presence, blah, blah, blah. Reactive load models the interaction between a real valve output stage and a speaker cabinet. It's got a reactive load. It's got a solid state rectifier, and, on the orange side, a valve rectifier, which of course is not a valve, but a simulated valve rectifier, something. So the point is, all these stages that an amp has are in there. All the behavior that these different stages of an amp have are in there. Most of what the switchies and the knobbies and all that do, this is the custom one, which is more expensive. There's the normal one, which is less expensive. This is the custom one, which is more expensive. It has this extra panel. And all this stuff does is it helps you tailor the pedal to your amp. So that's the general idea. A good overdrive will work with many amps. A bad overdrive, Fender Santa Ana, will not work. Oh, sorry. I had a Fender Santa Ana inside. I had to come out. It just doesn't work with really any amp. And when you switch to different amp, it sounds completely different. This thing has all these really subtle tweaks that allows you to make it work with whatever amp you have. So they claim. Which means, yes, we will send this into a whole bunch of amps, but we cannot just switch to the amp and say, oh, it sounds good, it doesn't sound good. We have to switch to the amp and then use the features of the pedal to see how we can twist it to make it sound great with any amp. What the pedal does brilliantly is really make you feel as if you're playing an old, beat-up piece of shit amp. Marshall, Fender, Vox, whatever, with all the fizzles and the dynamics and the dirt. And some of those amps, when you crank them up way too much, they were blowing up and they were having sag in the power amp, which means the power amp compresses too much. And all that stuff, it's all there. Now, let's go through a couple of terms. Manual. Bright cap. What's a bright cap? Well, let's look at it this way. Here we have volume, le volume in French. Like a JCM 800, for example, when you have the gain, volume in this case is gain, when you turn that down, instead of all frequencies being affected equally, the high end stayed in there longer when you took the volume down, which is why David Friedman yelled at me when I did a test with his and rightfully so he yelled at me, with his boost, because I had the gain on the Marshall way too low, and it sounded way too bright. Well, simply because it has a bright cap. So meaning you have to get the volume up to have the frequencies distributed evenly. Now, in this case, you can have that switch on 0 or in the middle, which means all frequencies are being handled evenly. When you go to US and you crank this up, or let's say you take it down, the high end will stay in there longer. So it's brighter, brighter, brighter. So the low end goes away first and then the high end later. So it's just brighter over the range of the knob. When you go to GB, I can't think of a funny thing that could stand for. Let's go with Great Britain. Well, that's a funny thing. Hashtag Brexit's real. Sorry. When you're on GB, sorry all the English people that voted for Brexit, I still love you. Then more mids will also stay in there when you dial this down. If you expected a on-point review, you are sadly mistaken. Then you have these preamps, which on 0 is based on a classic British tone shape, almost flat but with a subtle treble lift. On GB, modeled after a configuration widely used by those cranking early Plexi Marshalls, and on US, a mush-free approach to cranking, more blackface-ish. Again, don't expect different amps here. It's all subtle. So the bright cap is something you have to realize. It's not a switch that you flick and all of a sudden something changes. It's a flick that you switch and you notice different behavior on the volume knob. I'm sorry, I'm not making fun of people with a stutter. I sometimes do stutter. This time I didn't. But before I did it, I did. The bright, let's go here. We have EQ1, EQ2, and power amp. The bright cap cut is to cut some high end in case your amp that you're sending it to has a bright cap. Pretty much high frequency roll off if your amp's too bright. That's much easier to understand. If we go to the side of the pedal, there is a cut frequency in 3 switches. Leslie?
Oh, sorry.
Leslie, are you asleep?
No, I'm playing with my phone.
Could you not play with your phone?
Okay.
I'm leaving this in the video just to let you know. So we have a bright frequency, which adjusts the frequency of the low pass filter, which this is. Then we have a high shelf up here, so pretty much just a high frequency boost, and you can adjust the frequency of that with this high shelf knob, which again is something that you have on the custom version. And back to the top. On the custom version, you can switch EQ1, EQ2. EQ2 is more adjustable on the front. On the normal version, EQ1 is for duller amps, EQ2 is for brighter amps, and power amp we'll get to. You can go directly into a power amp, and then this pedal is tailored to do just that. There's the dry gain, which is boosting the level of your dry signal, because there's a knob which is a blend between your dry and your overdrive, and you can adjust the dry gain separately. And then there's a flippy switch whether or not you want this mid boost to be on the valve side or the silicon side, or foot switchable with, if we go to the side, this foot switch, and then you can just go on foot switch, and then you engage this, and that pretty much kicks in the mids whenever you want. You can also override that blend and only have distortion if you wanted to. That foot switch clocks in at $100. It's quite steep. It's solid, but it's quite steep for these two functions, I have to say. So, yeah, and then on the mid boost over here, we simply have a frequency that you can select. These are really tough to turn knobs. You should do this with your pick, but then you can't see what I'm doing. I'm turning it with my pick. And then, of course, a mid level, how much you want to boost it. So we've covered this part of the pedal. You ready? Moving on. Output is self-explanatory. Volume is gain. Leslie, you still playing with your phone? Nothing, I'm just saying. Blend goes between dry and overdrive. We'll talk about this in a second. Lows is, well, how much it's pushing low end into the drive. This is more of an AC30 kind of a thing, and this could, you know, blow up your amp and be very mushy, which is kind of cool. Now, this is more difficult to understand, the more in the pres. More is something about negative feedback, and even though I read it, something in the power amp where you take the thing and turn it around and then phase invert it and then feedback it. I don't know what that does, but it does something. So I think the more you pull this to the left, the more you have negative feedback you have. Maybe? There's a whole page about negative feedback. I'm not reading that now. I already did. There's more drive and also more sag and other kind of things that happen. If you go to the other side, you're adding more presence, and that's a power amp kind of high-end boost. Let's call it that. Which leaves us the ghost knob. Now, both sag and ghosting are generated in the power stage of an amp. There's a degree of overlap and interaction between these two effects. As you would expect, it is fully reflected in the revival drive. The ghost control will change the limiting, the timing of the sag effect. I can't explain exactly what this does, but I've experienced it. Apparently, a lot of old amps, depending on the quality and make of the capacitors, create frequencies that are not related to the note you play, but they're related to the note you play. They're somehow related to the note you play and the 60 or 50 hertz hum that's happening. You can even, on one of the dip switches up here, change it from 50 to 60 hertz and how it behaves. I can't personally on my amps change it because I'm in Germany, I have 50 hertz, and I'll show you what it does. So, because right now I have too much of a ground problem in my studio, I'm playing some notes in this range with the Friedman, and there are very loud extra harmonies happening that are below that note. And again, something about a multiple of 50 is happening. We calculated it, we looked at spectrum analysis. It is weird. And it happens on the Friedman, it happens on the Morgan, it happens on the other Friedman, it happens on all amps, it happens on the Revs. When I crank the power amp a lot, when I want the power amp to be part of the tone generation. So let me show you. So here's the Friedman. And then you can hear it very, very clearly. Listen to this. On that A, it's very disharmonic? No. I'm looking for a word that I can't find right now. It's very loud. It sounds like there's a ring modulator almost in there doing frequencies that are like, what? I'm sure it's happening there too, but it's probably way too low to hear. In this range, it is so loud with this amp in the setting that I have right now, I can't really use it there. I can't push the power amp because of my hum problem. Now the thing is, that is happening in many vintage amps. That is part of the sound of amps. Obviously not this loud. It's pretty damn subtle. But those notes are in there. And they're not good notes. They're dissonant. That's the word I was looking for. They're dissonant notes. However, Origin Effects decided, since all these old amps do it anyway, and we covered the sound of these old amps, those dissonant side effects have to have an effect on why we like these amps. There's something in there, a richness that we like. Well, of course it's a richness, it's freaking notes that we don't want. Or do we? Now, with the Ghost knob, you have the choice of bringing them in or not, but a lot quieter than what you just heard. But I have, of course, you know, I'm in the unfortunate situation that I can present those notes to you. We're miking this with the aux 412 loaded with creambacks. I'm mixing in the coffee caps Latte 212 loaded with creambacks, mic'd with a Lewitt LCT 640 TS right there at a little bit of a distance. Good 30-40 centimeters. And I'm also miking the whole thing with, if you go to the desk, Leslie, a Lewitt 440 pure right there to get some room sound if we want to check out what it sounds like in the room. We're going to play, because it's about classic sounds, we're going to play classic guitars. The S Classic from Le Macmal. That's how you say that in Israel, where they're from. We're gonna do the T Classic back there, that thing from Macmal, and we're gonna do a Prestige Heritage Standard, which is a very cool single cut. Okay, if you're still here, you really want to know about this pedal. Make it bigger again, Leslie. Let's say that what I'm playing is not as important right now. So I'm in the Rev Dynamis right now. Of course, we're gonna go to different amps and also a Seymour Duncan power stage. But at the moment, we're gonna do the Dynamis on clean. I'm gonna set up the pedal so that it works with that well. I'm gonna say that's too bright. So maybe I'm not boosting the high end. Let's start with that. And there we are. I got a nice sound that's... Oh, wait. I was on power amp. Damn it. See what that changes? It changes pretty much everything. Let's take that down again. And now I actually do want to boost the high end. Let's pick the frequency on the front panel here. For now, let's discover the bright caps. You should have noticed a little bit more brightness came in because the volume is a little bit rolled off. So the frequency response overall should have changed to, you know, have more brightness. Let me show you how that works. So it was filling in the frequencies from below, whereas the brightness was there pretty fast. If I go to GB, more frequencies are there in the mids as well. And now we're doing pretty much what a tube screamer does, letting some of the clean through. Some great stuff there. Of course, you don't have to go all the way drive. You can just, you know, get a different clean sound than your amp has. See what this ghost thing does. I can totally hear it. It's right there. I'm gonna go with, it's probably more pronounced with more drive. It's right there. That's not my amp right now. Can we turn that off? Okay, that works really well, but you can of course dial it back. Nice. Let's only do overdrive. Lows. Here we should be more in AC30 territory. that sound from some blown up amps. Kind of feels a little bit as if it's pushing life into the Dynamis, which is an amazing amp. Dude, please do not misinterpret that. But some dirt and grit is being pushed into the clean channel of the Dynamis. Okay, of course, adjust to taste. And now we go into negative feedback. Just fun. That has a little bit more bite now because it's got presence, but it doesn't have some of the. It's. I don't know how to describe that. It already sounds like a blown up amp. That is gorgeous. So let's go to the valve rectifier side. Make it a little bit smaller, Leslie. Let's start playing with some camera angles here. Just some beautiful, beautiful sounds. I'm gonna switch guitars now. There's still so much to cover. Holy crap. I actually want to try this because this is just a rock and roll axe right there. That's the Prestige DC Coupe. Okay, let's go overdrive, but not crazy. Oh, we haven't even tried the preamps yet. Oh, God! Fun. Clearly fun. Okay, preamp switching. More the GB is more It has that pumping dirt crap in there. That's awesome. More of that. Some more. Let's blow this shit up. Come on. That's the sound you can only get from an amp that's pretty much almost breaking. And it does it in a safe and responsible manner. That is fun. Let me try that to boost the Friedman. Which of course now we have to set up again. And that's way too loud. And it also had the bright in, so I would have had to switch my bright cap again. You see where you're going with this. You have to spend time with this puppy. We haven't done the mid boost thing yet. I'm fully boosting it. Beautiful for soloing to push this in. Or you just engage that. For that, the Footswitch could be good. Let me get a lot of clean sound in there. That's a great classic rock sound, people. And then I can boost the mids and kill the dry signal. which literally gives you 3 different sounds. That's pretty damn le sweet. And it's all, of course, classic sounds we're looking for. Should we? Yes, we should, because we're covering everything. We're going to EQ2. Now, Leslie, if you could go to the front of the pedal. Let's look at the different settings for the bright, cap, cut. So if I'm really dialing that in, I can actually pick the frequency at which it cuts. With 3 being the most severe, okay? And the shelf, I'm gonna boost that quite a bit. I can pick at which frequency it boosts. I'm on EQ2, which means now I have, oh my god, that frequency is, trust me, you want to have that manual handy. Okay, that frequency knob, 3 positions, adjusts the frequency focus of the EQ up or down. Apparently if I'm, and the mode switch is general, whether I'm using a 4-range amp or an amp that's more muddy, which I can illustrate. That's darker now. And that's brighter now. Let's keep it there. And then if I turn that thing up in the middle, I'm reducing treble, boosting bass if I'm cranking this up. Or I'm increasing treble, boosting bass. No, I'm increasing treble, cutting bass if I'm turning it down. So, this is all very subtle, and it's all meant to tailor what this thing is doing to the amp you're using. Pretty much once you've figured it out and once the thing works perfectly with your amp, never touch it again, she said to me regularly. So, which means we probably want to check it out with a bunch of amps. First of which would be a power amp. I'm going to use the Tele for that for fun. So here's my McModel T Classic. By the way, right now I'm testing Ernie Ball's Cobalts and M Steels because I'm looking for an alternative to the NYXLs, and these are Cobalts, which I don't dislike. So we're gonna see if I'm gonna be stuck with those. Possibly. I think the M steels could be my new strings. We'll find out. So what we want to try is we want to see how it functions with the power amp. And the thing that's right there, that's a Power Stage 170 by Seymour Duncan, which could be a great pair to the Revival Drive because it's a pedalboard friendly power amp solution. Switch to it, Leslie. Just go switch to it. There you go. I've got the EQ all the way in the middle, volume middle. Gonna go to it. I'm gonna crank up the volume a little bit more. And now, of course, it's a little bit dull because I'm not switched to the power amp setting. So I'm over here. I wanna... What do I want? I want to turn that down. That's too much. Now it's got all that alive height. Is that a word? I also wanted to see how it works with an overdrive. Damn it, well, we have to do that now. And see all of a sudden what happens. Holy crap. Because I'm all the way back, that's why. You really have to work with this thing and you have to learn it. On the bright caps, I had no bass. It's cool, but if I'm here, I'm in a completely different territory. I have to find an overdrive because we need to test that. I'm gonna use the BEOD because it's right here. Anyway. There, so I've created a clean sound that's passable. I have it in a Class D power amp by Seymour Duncan. And I'm putting a pedal in it, which is a realistic thing that you would do because you would have this on a pedal board You have this on a pedal board, you'd have this on a pedal board, probably last because it would be amp-like, and then, or maybe maybe effects in between because it would be your preamp and your power amp, and then we'll put an overdrive into it. So I just increased the low a little bit and fuck yeah, it does work. Which brings us to also the whole solid state power amp thing with this baby, because it creates the whole sound. It creates a sound of what the power amp would do as well in an all-tube amp. So the Class D thing doesn't have to add any sound. All it does is it just adds volume. So yeah, this works really well as a pedalboard amp if you pair it with a Class D power amp like the Power Stage 170, which clocks in right now at €389. Let's do a couple of different amps, and then we're done. Leslie's gonna like that. We're doing that with this beautiful single cut, I'm gonna call it a Les Paul, by Prestige. The Heritage Standard arrived yesterday. I played it. I was pretty floored by it. We tested some Prestiges in our single cut shootout, and they, in the price range, definitely killed. I'm gonna go, this guitar is probably like 1,400 euros, so it's pretty stunning looking. Great quality. It's a 3-piece body, which is a little bit like why, but hey, sounds there. It's pretty traditional, no shaping, no shaping. They have ones with shaping. Grover tuners, Seymour Duncan pickups, as far as I know, I think. So we're starting with the Rev Dynamis. But of course, now I have to set it up. Again, you wouldn't have to do this at home because you don't have 50 amps. It's a very round tone right there. Can you hear those ghost notes? Bright cap makes a huge difference the further down you are on the volume. See how it's blowing up? How it's that, I would say blowing up, but it's that super saggy kind of... I think I can do more of that. That was funny, more fun over here. I engaged the mids. Okay, let's go to a couple of amps. Carl Martin Custom Shop, here we go. Should be a very different kind of sound. That's loaded with KT88 or KT66 or something like that. It's definitely a very different amp. I don't know. Let's switch back and forth. Ref. Let's turn the mids off. Yeah, that is different. So what do I want to adjust? Let's see. Actually, I don't want to adjust anything. What I just did is fine. That's great. To turn it, I have now. Did I just say that's great? Okay, we do that again. Okay, I set up two sounds. That's pretty high gain, actually. I'm gonna go, I would be totally fine with that in the Custom Shop 50. Victory V40 is a little bit of an issue because the Victory is always very round. It's right, it's right. Wait, here, there, that's the Victory V40. And it's very round, it's, this is with all the treble in the Victory, all the way up. What do you think, Llama? that's something. In this case, not just a little bit of hair, but more. That's also a great guitar, by the way. Switching. Okay, here I got a little bit too much mids there. Really adjusting this knob is difficult. Again, you only have to do that once. Can't make the victory sound like I'm imagining it. There's some fatness missing. And I'm randomly switching things now. Great sound, but it's not what I mean, of course, I'm longing for that massividity from the Thomann. Great. It works with it, but not quite as well as with the other amps, I gotta admit. Let's go to the Reverb. Interesting. Orange, here we go. Also very different kind of a platform. Adjusted the high frequency for the shelf, maybe a little bit more cut, very subtly. And now there's this, which is, it could be something about that orange preamp. Great, but it has the orange taste. Ha, get it? Very thick in the mids, not as lean as if I went back. I mean, of course, now I'd switched it again to the Thomann or the orange. We'll try two more. The Jet City Emilia, which is a leaner amp, a lot leaner, and also cheaper. That amp is about $600. Directly into the clean channel. Yes, that EQ too on the front. Turn it to the right, less treble, more bass, that did it. It's a little bit harsh now, maybe a little bit back. Ah, shifting the frequency. That's what I did with that sound. Come on. And we do one more. We have to. The Joe Beale Street, which is a tweed type amp. Drives a little bit right now. That's nice. Beale Street works. We're now on the very hummy Friedman small box. I want to see how can this overdrive push an amp, because of course an overdrive is supposed to push an amp into more overdrive. Let's see how it does that. I'm gonna go to the other side here. Gonna engage the mids, push them. I want a lead tone. That's what I want. I like it already. this is a lot quiet down there, but oh my god, what a lead sound. Now, if you're still here, you might really be interested in the Revival Drive because we went through a lot. But someone had to, and I'm very sorry. This is not gonna get me tons of clicks, but it's the video that had to be made. Let me tell you a little bit of a story. So, I watched a video where someone compared a Sony A9 5,000 euro camera to a Leica SL 7,000 euro camera. And he said both of them are great products. Obviously the Sony you put in your hand, this is a great product, no question about it. But as soon as he touched the Leica, you go like, okay, there's no doubt that this is the best there can be. There's no doubt in terms of craftsmanship, how it feels, how everything is down to the 10th of a millimeter. Everything is spec to perfection. And it's a feel thing. The quality is not something that you have to be told about on a piece of paper. Great camera by Sony, Leica, that's the feel. And when you are looking at origin effects, that's exactly the thing. If I'm holding a Wampler pedal, that is great shit. Keeley, Walrus Audio, any of Strymon, any of these brands, very high quality. There's no question about it. And then you grab this. This is 329 euro, folks, okay? Yeah, that's the Emperor class of pedals. It's a compressor for quite a bit of money. But the weight, everything about it, this is made in England. You're gonna pay a premium for that. And soon probably more. Hashtag Brexit. I'm gonna get shit for it. People just smile about it, come on. Made in the UK. Right there, says it right there. The quality is there. The Revival Drive is without a doubt impressive, even if you don't listen to it. Every little switch, they're probably gonna last a lifetime. Every pot, everything is super high end. The pushies are soft clickies. Everything about it is as highly spec'd as it can be. I'm pretty sure if they built an amp, it would be $5 grand. Mind-blowing to work with it and experience the attention to detail and quality that Origin Effects has. Now, if you're asking me, dude, are you nuts? Why are you pushing an Overdrive pedal for 649 euro? Well, first of all, I would say, well, don't spend the 649. Buy the non-custom one where EQ2 is simply just a brighter version of EQ1. You don't have all the controls on the front, which are all pretty subtle. Do you need them? Up to you. But then it's still 500 something and it's still pretty damn expensive. For an Overdrive, yeah, well, it's not really an Overdrive. This is everything a vintage amp has with all its phase inverter, push pulls, and I was gonna say rectal. It's not rectal. What am I looking for? The word's not rectal. The word is reactive. Rectal, it's got a rectal load. It's got a reactive load, all that stuff. Yeah, that's in there. Does it matter? To us? Well, to them it does, because they're super freaking amp nerds. To many of you it might, because you know what all that stuff means. I'm a guitar player. I don't. I literally make music. The technology behind an amp, I don't give a flying rat's ass about. I don't know if it's push-pull and I don't care, and if it's reactive or rectal, or I don't really care. How do I feel when I play it? When I play this, I feel like I want to wear a tie-dye shirt. I feel like I want to be Hendrix. I feel like I want to play loud. I feel like I want to be at Woodstock. I feel like I want to be in an old Nashville studio. And I feel untamed. I feel like I want to just stand up, put a strap on the guitar, and just jump around. It's animating me to create music the way it used to be made, where you didn't. That's also why I played like shit and made all these noises, because it's asking you to just let loose. This is not your gent pedal. It's a pedal that recreates realistically in transistor form all those sounds of a lot of vintage amps, and it does it because those guys are nerds and they studied it, and they put even ghosting in there, which is crazy, something you didn't want, but then now you find out like, wait, it makes it fuller and cool and maybe a little bit dissonant, which is the word I was looking for earlier. So I cannot honestly say I highly recommend a pedal for that much money. On the other hand, can I recommend an amp for that much money? Easily. So if you're buying this and you're buying the Power Stage, which is $389, you're looking at $1,100, and you got a 170 watt amp on your pedal board. An amp that has all that in it, I'm not gonna make up your mind for you. Let me just say it's fun. Once you wrap your head around what all that stuff does, which is gonna require this thing to be on the table in front of you for quite a while, and you're having to go back and go back and go back. But once you wrap your head around what Moore and Prez does, and that Lowe's isn't just low end, and all that stuff, and especially the bright caps in it, there's so much. Once you get it, and you'll be able to dial in exactly what you want, which I didn't necessarily always do, you're gonna be very, 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 very proud owner of a Revival Drive by Origin Effects. That's all I can tell you. I think you're gonna be just freaking happy to have this. And your friends are gonna be very jealous. That's all I'm gonna say. Links below. Buy my shirts. Buy something at Mr. Gugu. Please support me on Patreon so I can do these reviews. And the dogs have something to eat. Would be nice. Don't quite know how many of you understand how much work this channel is. Literally. Animals. Now.
Ridiculous. Afraid of the obvious we ignore.